Someone you barely know is walking toward you in the hallway. You've already done the greeting 10 seconds ago, around the corner, and now you have to do it again, and there's no version of this that isn't strange. So you look at your phone, a phone you do not need to look at. For some people, that moment is nothing. A shrug, gone in a second. For other people, that moment lives in their head at 11 at night, 3 weeks later. Same hallway, same 8 seconds, completely different nervous system. And the internet has one explanation for that. It says you're deep. It says everyone else is shallow. I want to test that because there's about 100 years of research on this exact thing, and it does not say what the internet says. It says something stranger. It says, the people who hate small talk the most are the people who are worst at predicting what would have happened if they'd just done it. Stay with me on that. There's an experiment near the end that I think will genuinely bother you. Start in 1923. An anthropologist named Bronislaw Malinowski is writing about the way people speak when they have nothing to say. Greetings, weather, obvious observations. And he argues something that sounds obvious now and wasn't then, that this kind of talk isn't carrying information at all. It's not trying to. It's doing something else. It's establishing that two people are on friendly terms and that neither of them is a threat. He called it phatic communion. So notice what that means. If you're judging small talk on whether it exchanges anything useful, you're grading it on a subject it never enrolled in. Now, the people who hate it are not making it up. There's real evidence on their side. 2010, University of Arizona. A researcher named Matthias Mehl straps a recorder to 79 students for 4 days. It captures 30 seconds of audio every 12.5 minutes, whether they like it or not. 23,689 recordings. Then, his team codes every conversation as either small talk or substantive and lines it up against how happy each person was. The happiest people in the study had about 1/3 as much small talk as the unhappiest, and twice as many real conversations. That study went everywhere. It's the one every article quotes. Except, 8 years later, the same researcher ran it again. Bigger, 486 people, and half of that famous finding fell apart. Hold that. I'll come back to it, because it changes what the rest of this means. First, what's happening to you in that hallway. There's a model in clinical psychology from David Clark and Adrian Wells describing what the mind does in a social situation it's afraid of. And the core of it is a single move. Attention turns around. Instead of watching the other person, you start watching yourself. And here's the trap. You then use how you feel as evidence for how you look. You feel hot, so you must be visibly red. You feel scattered, so you must sound scattered. You're running a live simulation of yourself from the outside using the worst possible data source. In one test of that model, those mechanisms, the self-watching, the small safety behaviors, the rehearsing before and the replaying after, accounted for 48% of the difference in social anxiety between people. And when researchers deliberately instructed people to do it, turn the attention inward, use the safety behaviors, performance got worse, not just felt worse. Their conversation partners rated them as more anxious too. The monitoring is the problem, not you. Now the experiment I promised you. 2011, University of Groningen. 60 students watch a 6-minute video of a conversation and they're told to imagine they're one of the people in it. For half of them, the conversation flows normally. For the other half, one thing changes. After the person they're identifying with speaks, there's a silence. 4 seconds, and the researchers chose that number on purpose. They tested 2.5 seconds, they tested 6. They landed on 4 because 4 was the point where people did not consciously notice it. Asked afterwards to estimate how long the pause was, both groups gave the same answer. They didn't detect it. And the group that got the 4 seconds reported feeling more rejected, more distressed, less like they belonged, lower self-esteem, less validated in what they'd just said. 4 seconds, inside a 6-minute video, about a conversation they weren't even in. So when people tell you the small talk haters are simply comfortable with silence, I'd want to see that evidence. Because this is a machine running underneath awareness. You don't get to opt out of it by having a philosophy about it. Which brings us to the thing I actually wanted to show you. 2014. Nicholas Epley and Juliana Schroeder go to train stations and bus stops around Chicago. More than 800 commuters across 9 experiments. Each one gets randomly assigned. Talk to a stranger. Sit in silence. Or just commute normally. Then a separate group of commuters is asked to predict which of those would feel best. The predictors were confident. Solitude. Obviously solitude. The people who actually did it reported the opposite. The ones told to talk to a stranger had the most positive commute of the three groups, and they got no less work done. A London replication found the same thing. Then, in 2022, Michael Kardas, Amit Kumar, and Epley pushed it further. What about deep conversation with a stranger? Real disclosure, the thing that's supposed to be unbearable. Same result, less awkward and more connecting than expected. And people were most wrong about the deep conversations. The further past small talk you go, the worse your forecast gets. And here's what makes it stick. In 2018, Erica Boothby and her colleagues showed that after a first conversation, people systematically underestimate how much the other person liked them. They called it the liking gap. Strangers in a lab, students with new dorm mates, adults at a workshop, same pattern every time. Partly because people are brutally critical of their own performance, you're not remembering these conversations accurately. You're grading them, and you're a hostile examiner. Now, the loop I left open. That famous 2010 study, the one with the recorders. Mehl's own team reran it in 2018 with 486 people, 6 times the sample. The good half held. More substantive conversations still tracked with higher well-being. The other half didn't. Small talk showed no reliable relationship with happiness in either direction. It isn't draining you, it's just neutral. And even the part that survived is a correlation. Mehl has said so directly. Nobody has established whether deep conversation makes people happier, or whether happier people simply have more of it. One more thing, and I want to be blunt because you'll see this claim everywhere. There is no study showing that people who dislike small talk get less dopamine from it. I looked. That claim usually gets attached to something called need for cognition, which is a real personality measure from Cacioppo and Petty in 1982. A self-report questionnaire about whether you enjoy effortful thinking. It's not a brain scan. It never was. If a video tells you your brain chemistry explains why you hate parties, ask which study. So, here's where I've landed. Hating small talk isn't a personality flaw, and it isn't a superpower. It's a forecasting error with a very good disguise. Because the story is appealing. I skip the shallow stuff because I want something real. It's just that in every experiment where somebody actually measured it, the people telling that story didn't go deeper. They went home. The research doesn't say small talk is precious. Small talk looks neutral. What it says is that the thing on the other side of it is worth more than you think, and that you are systematically bad at estimating the cost of the doorway. Malinowski worked out 100 years ago that the hallway greeting was never about the weather. It's two people agreeing to be safe with each other for a few seconds. You're allowed to find that boring. You're just not the best judge of what happens next. So the question isn't whether you hate small talk. It's this: when you skipped it, what did you actually do with the time? If you can answer that cleanly, this video wasn't about you. Subscribe if you want more of these.